Well, thank you all so much for joining us. We're talking today about the future of kids' tablets. So we've seen where we've been, where we are right now, and now we're starting to really lean into the future. We're embracing it as parents, as tech insiders and influencers, and as people who are learning and living with this technology more now than ever before. So I want to thank the three panelists here for doing this with us. Eric, I'm going to start with you and just give us this overview of how many kids have tablets today.
Well, you know, the numbers are pretty staggering on tablets, period, right? So this year in the US, about 118 million tablets sold. Mm-hmm. You know, the estimates now are that over 50% of the households with kids under the age of 16 have tablets in the house. I think when the new data comes out after this Christmas, it's going to be even higher. So the numbers are pretty staggering and continue to get younger and younger.
Well, we're talking about toys, basically toys, right, that are $300, $400, $500 and up. When you put that kind of toy in a child's hand, how does the balance of power work? And we're going to get into a lot with the wireless aspects and some of the COPPA laws in a second, but I want to just right off the top, talk about where this is headed in terms of that balance of power. You also have kids who are so much more tech savvy than their parents. I often say it's like giving them the keys to a car.
Yeah.
So let's touch on that, and anyone who wants to answer that.
Yeah, absolutely. Peter, do you want to talk about that? Or yeah. So I mean, I think first and foremost, prices are coming down drastically, mm-hmm. and we're all in the technology business, so we're familiar with the technology adoption curve. We're really going into this sort of late majority phase. So you know, the early adopters have them now. The early majority have them. As you get into late adopter phase, you're very price sensitive. So you're really seeing $100 tablets. Walmart's #1 selling tablet this year was an 8-inch tablet, $99 every day, $79 on rollback. And to put in perspective, on Black Friday, Walmart sold 1.4 million tablets in one day. So prices are really coming down, and I think, you know, there's the Apple that's still at the high end, and there's the Apple consumer, but on the Android side, and that's where a lot of families are choosing for kids Android for exactly that reason, because they don't want to give a $500 device to a 3-year-old. They'd rather give a $99 or $149 device to a 3-year-old.
Did you want to add to that?
Yeah, and that goes back to what's the market opportunity in the forecast, and we talk about how many tablets are out there with kids today, but what the opportunity is giving them their own tablet as opposed to taking mom or dad's tablet. Right, today, mom or dad has a tablet, and the kid runs in saying, can I use that to go play my game or do my education activities? And so right now, there's a lot of that going on in the household. So it's about giving them their own tablet so that, you know, the parents can get their own back.
Yeah, exactly. We all know about that arm wrestling with your kids over who gets the tablet. Okay, we are talking about Verizon now introducing cellular into these kids' tablets for the first time. So until now, tablets have been Wi-Fi only, non-cellular. So first, let's look at the money aspect of that. We're saying these tablets are getting more affordable to give to children. Now you introduce wireless. How are parents going to pay for that?
Well, that was a big challenge to us years ago when we started looking at this space, and how do we get more Verizon services into connected consumer products? And you know, the module costs were high, the service costs were high. It wasn't those things that the parents wanted to add to their account. And as we, about a year and a half ago, we changed our business plan and service models to what we call Share Everything, where it's not about minutes of voice, it's about megabytes of data that you manage between devices. So just by adding a device to your account, it's simply $10.
Okay, so it's affordable. And then when you talk about adding cellular to the tablet, talk to me a little bit about, you know, how this impacts the COPPA laws, how this impacts the tracking. What did you have to deal with in those hurdles?
I'll let Kira handle that one.
Yeah, so that sort of falls to us. And really, as we touched on a little bit for those of you that were in the earlier
You
panel,
can't do anything with GPS, right?
Well, you can, because parents are the one who have the tracking information.
Okay.
But what you have to make sure is that you're not storing any of that data any place that someone else might be able to access it.
But when we're talking about Android devices, can you ever make that? I mean, we're talking about any device. Can you ever make that promise?
Yeah. So there's challenges, but I also think there's sort of reasonable levels of expectation. So if, at a reasonable level of expectation, if we don't store any of the data, and if the data information doesn't specifically, there's no way you would know who had the device anyway. So yeah, you might know where a device went, but you don't know whose it was, you don't know how old that person is. Then you start to get into this place where it's reasonably protected. And it's hard because this is a new law. And anytime you have a new law that hasn't been tested, I mean, for people like us that are trying to figure out and trying very hard to do the right thing, right? We don't want to violate this law. We want to make sure kids are protected. But it's gray a little bit now. So you have to sort of figure out how to live by the spirit of the law. I think the spirit of the law is that you don't collect data and you don't share data. And that's so we work very, very hard to do that.
I promised these guys I'd make this easy on them. I mean, it's, we dove right into some of the hot button issues here.
These are new questions here. You didn't.
Yeah. Let's go back for a second and just address why kids need tablets with cellular data. And Peter, that might fall in your wheelhouse because you really create these. How do you figure out what goes to market and what goes into the garbage?
Well, yeah. First of all, why kids need tablets is because we are using tablets. The parents are using tablets, and what kids do is they want to do exactly the same what their parents do. And I think that's the education that we give to children as well. We educate them what to do in their future life. And nowadays, tablets, connected devices, it's one of the things that they need to learn how to use. And why do they want a tablet? Same reason why we want a tablet or a connected device. We don't want a piece of hardware. We want a device to get access to content. We want to stream content to the device. So, and that topic, streaming content, is going to be more important in the next years. Already, the majority of all content that we are using is online. It's in the cloud. So we need a connection with internet to access this content. For children, it's not different. It's the same. They want to access the content on the internet. So with the wireless connection, they can learn with the tablet, play with the tablet anywhere, anytime.
And now with the cellular connection, they can take it, the idea is they can then take it with them more easily outside of the house?
Absolutely. I always use the story of when my kids, I have 11, 9, and 7, using different devices. When the minivan backs out of the garage and the Wi-Fi goes away, all of a sudden they're like, my device isn't working. And kids don't understand Wi-Fi or cellular. They just understand connected or not connected. Okay. And so they always expect to be connected. I think this generation and generations to follow are going to expect connectivity going forward. So I think we're going to answer that by these types of products. I mean, I'm thinking Zoomer here needs some wireless connectivity, right? Can you imagine that? That'd be fun too.
I'm in love with that dog. Yeah. How does the announcement of adding cellular to kids' tablets allow Verizon Wireless to expand your user demographic into this space? I mean, are we talking, first it was teens. Are we growing this world of connectivity and tablets to younger and younger? And what are we thinking of when we talk about the right age? And this is a question I get all the time. What is the right age to let a kid have a tablet? A child have a tablet?
So there's the business answer to that, and there's the dad answer to that,
Okay,
right?
First, I want to hear the dad answer, and then let's go into the business answer.
Well, I'm a fringe case because if you go in my office, I've got tablets all over my office. So they're always running in, just finding which one's charged, then they run away with it and come back later if I can find it. But the opportunity goes back to a point Eric made in the last session. That is, it's more people, an opportunity of more people to have a device that has connectivity, and it's more devices for a person. That's really what Verizon sees. He made a point of, we have 100 million customers. There's 300 million people in the US. How many more phones can we sell? So it's a very much an upgrade model. So now our model is how do we give people more devices? And that's the whole strategy behind Share Everything. You have one bucket of data that you share with your phones and now your tablets and your mobile hotspots and your gaming devices and cameras and so on and so forth. So it's about giving customers a very flexible way to access or use those what we call occasionally used devices. It's not your smartphone always on you. It's the tablet that you pick up and use, or it's your camera you pick up and use every now and then.
When we look at the future of tablets, though, as we are seeing this huge trend come out of CES 2014 this year about the Internet of Things and the everything connected, it seems like the future is going away from more devices into that one wearable. How are you thinking of that and planning for that next step? in kids' tablets and wearables and all of that?
Well, I'll address the wearable part. I mean, wearables is a big part of what Verizon Wireless does. If you walk into a store today, some of our newer store formats are showing you more of a lifestyle experience versus just here are all our phones. So you walk in and you see here's health and fitness, here's lifestyle and home audio. So when you go buy a Fitbit at Verizon Wireless. So we're very much in giving customers those smart accessories or devices that work with our smartphones and tablets.
We're getting our countdown. The countdown clock is on. So I want to make sure that each one of you gets a chance to really give that one message to this audience that you waited all year between CESs to do. So let me start with you.
Yeah, well, I think you sort of heard it from me, which is our perspective on this stuff is it's happening, right? And it's happening, as Peter said, because people like it. It works. We like what they do for us. We like what we can do with these devices. So, and that's a great thing. And I think that when you talk about the future of tablets, was your last question, one of the most fascinating things I heard was the design team at Apple who came up with the original iPad said, if we do our job right, no one will ever notice the device. I mean, it's not really about the device. It's just a content delivery system. And they with that tablet, really changed the way we interact with content. So I think, that will continue to evolve, but it really is just about different delivery systems, and there'll always be certain things you want to do on certain form factors, so that won't necessarily go away. I think for us, with our company, Peter and I, is if you're going to be involved with that and kids are involved, how do you help parents have the right tools to manage that process? How do you help kids have a safe experience, yet still do all the things they want to do? And I think that's our main message.
So many questions about that, and hopefully we continue this conversation after the countdown clock runs out, today, tomorrow, and well into the next year. Steve, most important thing?
The most important thing goes back to, as we try to drive new products to our customers, it's about giving them options that they want to use. And everyone wants to be connected. Everyone here in this room wants to be connected. Our kids just take it for granted. So when they pick up a device, if it doesn't work, they bring it back to you and they say, I'll go do something else. I mean, it just needs to be that easy. And so our job is how do we give customers more choices and options? And it's going after the different generations and demographics and giving customers more choices to add to their account. And we're a service company.
And if I could link the two together, so I think 2 years ago when we got in this business, the idea that kids would need a cellular connected tablet seems absurd to me. 2 years later, it isn't. And part of why it isn't is because people like Verizon have done a good job putting plans together that fit their customers' changing needs. And so the fact that they've made it so affordable actually creates opportunities for us and for the kids.
Yeah. In a year and a half, we went from 0 to 42% of our user base of 100 million customers are now on Share Everything. So that's an addressable market that can just take a tablet and just simply add it to their account for a low monthly fee. No contracts, just month to month, turn it on, turn it off. Turn it on for vacation, turn it off when you get back. So make it easy.
Peter, parting thoughts.
Last one. I will make it short. The future of tablets for children, if it's a tablet or another technology device, it doesn't really matter. Once we start using the smartwatch or we start wearing the wearables, as parents, children want to have a similar device. So it's for our company, it's the goal to come up with the right functionality for that piece of hardware for the kids, together with safety where needed if it's connected to the internet.
And we'll connect that smartwatch too for you.
Okay, Robin, do we have a few seconds
Any
for
questions?
audience questions?
We have a few
I
seconds,
know
like
there are
one
a
or
couple
two
folks
audience questions
who have questions
on the
here.
future. Yep, I see one. Here we go.
Just a quick question about adoption of tablets with children. Do you have any hard data about whether parents are buying tablets for their kids or whether they're buying fancy tablets for themselves and handing their old ones to their kids?
Yeah, we have some, so we actually, this is changing so quickly that we have to update our research all the time. I think it's changing all the time. The last time that we did research like that, what we saw was a little bit of both. But more and more, because prices have come down, we're seeing more initial purchases for kids directly. And I think that trend is continuing quite a bit. From the anecdotal information we have from this last Christmas, we'll have more hard data probably in a few months. I don't know if you guys have any.
It's both. I mean, I don't have any hard data, but it's because of the options, more options and lower price points. It's giving parents an option to say, hey, I'll give them their own so I can get mine back.
Yeah.
One more question. Time for one more.
Yes, you referenced the total tablets number sold last year at the beginning of the presentation. Of that, it was like 110 million, something like that. How many kids' tablets were sold last year? Do you have data on that?
Yeah, so I don't have specific numbers, but we have some estimates. We think that pure kids tablets, right? So there's lots of tablets that cross over, but just ones that are positioned directly at kids like ours, it's about 5% of the market.
Okay, thank you all so much.
I'm just going to,
Oh.
I want to thank Jennifer and this panel, and I want to remind you that you saw it here at CES Kids at Play, where you saw an entire new breakthrough in the first cellular tablet for kids and a phone to boot. So it's really remarkably groundbreaking, and thank you, all of you, for spending your time with us
Thank
to announce
you.
that.
Right, thank
Appreciate
you.
it.
Thank you.
Thanks.